And I want to welcome you to this presentation of my proposal. My name is Oluseyi Olujimi. I'm making this presentation under the course Marketing Research and Consumer Behavior. The title of the presentation is Marketing Research Proposal. For your information, the faculty for this course is handled by Dr. Ashley Castle. Now, first of all, I want to apprise you with the scope of this presentation. We are going to be looking at about 7 or 8 areas in this presentation. We are going to be looking at the overview of the problem for this research, the objectives of the research, the target audience for this research. We are also going to look at the methodology. How are we going to collect our data? We're going to talk about that. We are going to be looking at the sampling strategies. What methods are we going to adopt in selecting our sample? And then what size are we looking at? What size of sample are we looking at? Then we're going to look at the study personnel. Who are they? What kind of people are they? What is their level of involvement of the study personnel? How are they going to be trained and gotten ready for the field work? Then lastly, we're going to be talking also about field data collection. How do we go about our field data collection? Then we are also about the data analysis and then the issue of the ethical considerations. We are going to look at all these areas. First of all, let's look at the overview of the problem. First of all, I'd like to let you know that Delight Food Nigeria Limited is a company that's already in the food and beverage industry in Nigeria, but is trying to diversify into the Nigerian soft drink market. It conducted a study and found out that market is really attractive. Now, talking about giving you a bit background about the Nigerian soft drink market, the market is currently dominated by two giants. The first is Coca-Cola Nigeria Limited, which is said to control about 50% of the market share, followed closely by 7-Up Pepsi Company. They are controlling about 40% of the market. Now, Coca-Cola, in being at the top, has been practicing the differentiation strategy. It is targeting quality improvement to use that to reduce consumers' sensitivity to price. On the side of 7-Up and 7-Up Pepsi, they're adopting the lower cost strategies. That is, want to bring down their price as, as low as possible so that they can make it affordable to the mass market, and the mass market can patronize them greatly. The Light Food is now faced with what strategy to adopt to capture to carve out a niche in that market for itself. This is a main problem the markets are facing, and that is why we have been asked to do a proposal um, um, for this study. The Light will be seeking to understand the equity of the brands in the market, and then do a kind of market segmentation to know who are consuming what in the market, with a view of looking at which areas we can come in and then penetrate the market. Secondly, next we're going to talk about the objectives of this study. All we want to do is just to collect data and information that will guide the management, the marketing department of the marketing department and management of the Light Food to evolve a superior competitive strategy that will put them at an advantage and then enable them to have a comfortable niche in the market. Now, specifically, we are going to be doing evaluate the equity of each brand in the Nigerian software market. We are going to identify viable marketing levers, for carving out such a niche for the company. And thirdly, we want to, we are going to be involved in conducting a market segmentation for the software market. Now, who are the target audience for this research, for this study? We are looking at consumers of soft drinks of different flavors, distributors of soft drinks, retailers of soft drink, government regulatory bodies, soft drinks industry association, employees of the Light Food Nigeria Limited itself, then the management of the Light Food Nigeria. Limited. Also, we will not forget the investors who want to put their money where their mouth is. They are very, very concerned about the return on the return on the investment. Then lastly, the community in which the company is domiciled. They are also stakeholders. Because the operations of the company affect them one way or the other, so they want to have a say in what is going on in the company. So this study is also related at them. The next things I want to go to the marketing research technique. That is, what are the methodology we're going to adopt in collecting our data. Firstly, I want to let you know that it's going to be in about three phases, and the first phase is the secondary data collection. This is by this we mean data that's already in existence somewhere. We want to go to such places and then pick up those data that are relevant to what we want to do. And we'll be looking at number of players in the soft drink industries. We'll be looking at the brands and flavors of soft drinks in the Nigerian market and their producers. Also want to look at the quantity of soft drinks consumed per period, either quarterly, yearly, across board, across Nigeria. Also, we are going to be looking at the distribution of soft drinks nationwide and their penetration in this geographical zone. Then we'll be looking at also prices of various brands of soft drinks in the various parts of Nigeria. Then lastly, we're seeking contribution of soft drinks industry to the gross domestic product in the Nigerian economy. Which sources are we going to be looking at? We want to look at the Soft Drinks Industry Association. We want to go to them, whatever they have, to dig deep. What can we get from them? The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Government Agency on Foods and Drugs, related, issues, regulatory body, then government's regulatory body on standards. And then want to look at the National Bureau of Statistics as an agency that talks about indices, economic indices in the country. Then we are good for population purposes. We want to look at the Nigerian Population Commission. And lastly, we want to, also talk to the client, the Lights Food. What documents do they have? Do they have any relevant document that can support these studies and we can use for these studies? And next phase of data collection will be the primary data collection. That is collecting raw data from the field. And this will be in two segments. The first is quantitative data gathering. We're going to be talking one-on-one with consumers of soft drinks using semi-structured questionnaire. And then the second one is the qualitative data gathering technique. This qualitative data gathering is meant to gain a deeper understanding of issues before us. We want people to express their opinion freely and tell us what the figures will not tell us. It is said that qualitative data gives life to the figures we get from quantitative study. And the first aspect of that is the individual in-depth interview with stakeholders. We're going to be talking to relevant staffs of regulatory bodies mentioned above, relevant staffs of soft drink industry association, selected members of the light food management, and distributors of soft drinks, retailers of soft drinks. Like I also said earlier on, the investors in the Light Foods Nigeria Limited. What do they have to tell us? Then the community opinion leaders. Then regarding the focus group discussion, we are going to have about 8 to 10 respondents coming together to express their views on issues. Like they're going to be focus group discussion, for 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 for, for both sexes separately. We don't want to mix them because of some because of cultural issues in this part of the world. And then we want to look at age brackets. What has age got to do with consumption of soft drink? Is there any association between high level of consumption of soft drink and a particular age bracket? We want to explore that. Is anything that we can learn from that? Bearing in mind we are doing a market, the Lights Food wants a market segmentation. They are looking for possible ways in which they can enter the market. Thirdly, we want to explore this multimodal research approach. Consumer behavior is becoming more complex to understand, And there's this approach, this multimodal research approach, is saying that we need to go beyond the usual quantitative and qualitative data collection and analysis. And what does it mean? We want to measure the emotions of consumers using the Immersion's neuroscience platform. What's the beauty of this model, of this method, is that it allows you to mention the emotions of consumers, respondents, with a view to getting information that they would normally not discuss or disclose, which is based on their emotions and psychological makeup. So we want to adopt this approach. So we have the quantitative data gathering, qualitative data gathering, and then we are targeting the emotions of the consumers to pick out from them what they will not say with their mouth to us. Then we want to look at the sample. Let's look at the sampling strategy and size. What are the what strategy are we going to adopt in doing a sample? We are going to adopt a multi-stage sampling technique. First, we are going to start with selection of states from each geopolitical zone. Currently, Nigeria is divided into 6 geopolitical zones: the northwest, the northeast, north central, southeast, south, and southwest. We want to pick 2 states from each of these zones, and the first state is likely to be the capital of that state, which is an urban area. And we know that people in urban areas are likely to consume something more than those in the rural areas. So we select that state capital first, and then any other states within that geopolitical zone that has high consumption rate of soft drinks. Also, in each state we are going to divide the area into 20 and then select 5. But those 5 selected areas must will reflect the 3 categories of socioeconomic classes: the A, B, the C, and the DA. Also, when our data collectors get to a particular state, there's a way they should select the respondent. First of all, they use the day's code to select the first dwelling structure. The day's code is the single digits. That's the date of that day. Now, if the date of that day is 2 digits, that is 21, we will add 2 and 1 together and get 3, which means the day's code is 3, which means that the interviewer is going to start from the third house, 1, 2, 3, and is going to use that day's code as sampling interval for subsequent structures. That is, for selection of subsequent dwelling structures. For instance, after doing interview in this particular dwelling structure, we will count 1, 2, 3 to pick the next dwelling structure. When it gets into a particular dwelling structures, it's going to dwelling structure rather, is going to use the household selection grid. In a particular dwelling structure, there will be several households in a particular house. So it's going to use a grid to randomly select a particular household, and then further after that, it's going to use the Kish grid, or the respondents selection grid, to select a particular respondent in a household. So we can see that it is multi-state, from state to the from the geopolitical zone to the state, from the state to the street, from the street to the dwelling structure, from the dwelling structure to the household, from the household then to the respondent. Now, regarding the sample size calculation, we are going to make use of a site titled RaoSort. It's a sample size calculator site, but in arriving at the appropriate sample size, we are going to input the confidence interval, the confidence level that you desire, either 95 or 99, and then lastly, we also put the population size of that area, which will now generate for us a particular sample size. But what we're going to do is that we want to ensure that the sample size we arrive at the end of the day is large enough to conduct meaningful statistical analysis, where the sample size generated is not much, is not good enough, we are going to agree with the client. Look, this will not be suitable. Can we agree on a better sample size? And we are also taking into consideration the fact that the clients, has the power to do this because they have the funds. They know what they can afford and what they cannot afford. Next is study personnel. Who are these people? We're going to be making use of experienced and trusted field staff that we have used over the years, and they are in this category: the study manager, which is my humble self, Oluseyi, and we are also going to have a field manager, a field supervisor in each state, quality control for each officer for each state. Then we are going to have interviewers who are going to speak one-on-one with the respondent. We're also going to have moderators and note takers who are going to handle the qualitative aspect of the study, that is the FGDs and the individual depth interviews. So for each state, we are going to have a field force made up of one supervisor, one quality control officer, five interviewers, two moderators, one male and female, two note takers, one male and female. Now to get the field staff ready for work, we need to do a briefing and training for them. There's going to be two levels of briefing and training. One at the central location. It's going to be a kind of training of trainers. That is, we are going to those supervisors for each training will be brought together in a central location like Abuja, and they are going to be trained on the studies. And what are they going to be trained on? Description of the nature of the study, what the study all about. They need to know what the study is about, get them to know what is going on, what are we going to do, so that they can key into it, they can buy into it. And then we are going to talk about the methodology, how are we going to the categories of respondents we want to interview, the procedures for recruiting respondents. Then we want to get them familiarized with the tools for data collection, the questionnaire, and the FGD and the KI guides. And also, we're going to familiarize them with the open data kit. That is, we are going to be collecting data electronically using Android facilities. We're going to teach them how to download the software from the Google Play Store. The Kobo Collect will be used. So they're going to be trained on this. They're going to do role models to really do it the way they're going to do it on the field, so that by the time they get to the field, they're not in the dark. Then the issue of data management. How are we going to handle the data we collect every day? When we lose data, we have lost money. So we want to get them, we want to sensitize them to the importance of data gathering and then guarding our data jealously. So we're going to discuss that. How are you going to handle your data? How are you going to upload that data? It's very, very important. I need to be very, very careful. And for the FGDs, how are you going to store your data? How are you going to back it up? After FGD session, the data should be backed up on the computer. And then we're also going to identify some terminologies and then translate them in the local language so that there won't be any problem of interpretation of the data. Then the quality control measures, handling of logistics. How do we meet? When do we start? At the end of the day, how do we gather together every day? All those are part of logistics. So the gamut of all this is about 10 of them will be handled at the central briefing and training. And those who participate in that training, that is the supervisors, state supervisors, we go and cascade that training to their in their states. And that will be the second level of training, of briefing and training. Also, we're going to be talking about the data quality assurance and control. For the quantitative, we are going to do our work in a group. We're going to be we're going to be adopting the group interviewing technique. That is, once we finish working in an area we call A, we move to area B together, we move to area C. We don't want to leave people scattered all over the place. And the beauty of this is to keep an eye on each other, also for security purposes, so that if anybody runs into trouble, all of us can rally around and help that person out. And then also it allows for spot check, easy spot check. the supervisor can come and say, oh, let me look at what you have done, go through it. It's a way of ensuring that the supervisors do a thorough monitoring of the field work, and they're top of their game. That's the beauty of the group interview technique. Then for the qualitative, for the quality to ensure quality control, we want to verify and validate that do a validation that respondents recruited by recruiters are the appropriate people for the FGD session. We don't want to don't want them to bring wrong respondents to us. We want to talk to the right respondent um, um, for the study. So at the FGD session, the moderator is also going to do some verification to ensure that the people she's going to moderate and the people she's going to be talking with are the right people, not the wrong one. Because when you get the wrong people to talk to you, you get the wrong message, you get the wrong data, and at the end of the day, you get the wrong report. Also, we will ensure that the people who are going to do these studies, are people who are familiar with the terrain and the culture of that environment. We are not going to bring somebody from outside the state, in the south, and bring the person to the north to come and conduct, to come and work. No, we want to use people who are domiciled in that state, and they know the culture, the nuances of the language, they are familiar with everything. Then in terms of data management, we are going to ensure that we are going to capture the data with Google Collect software on Android handsets. We are going to download it to the handsets of the interviewers. After capturing data, they can capture the data offline. And later, when they are done in the day, after they have gone through it, verification by themselves and their supervisors, they now upload it to the server. The IT specialist also has an opportunity to validate those data to ensure that everything is in place. And after that, he downloads it to Microsoft Excel or SPSS for further analysis. In terms of analysis of data, we are going to run a frequency, the frequency distribution of all cases. This is to ensure that every question that ought to be answered is answered. So that if 100 people are supposed to answer a question, if you tell us whether it's 100 people that answer that questions, that question based on the skip patterns in the Android, embedded in the Android software. Also, there will be a cross tabulation of all the variables by sex. So sex, age, social, economic class, marital status, level of education, and level of income will be a standard breakdown for all variables. Then for the qualitative, we are going to all data generated will be content analyzed using the different themes and discussion guides. All recorded audio files will be downloaded from the digital recording that's immediately after every FGD or interview session. They'll be backed up on a laptop. And also at the end of the day, those recorded files will be shared with the research agency as another backup. One backup on the laptop, another backup with the research agency. Then at the end of the day, or at the end of the study, we're going to bring all the audio files together, label them appropriately, and also write them on a writable DVD or put them in the flash and hand it over to the client for keeps. Uh, we've done the outlines for the for the tools for data collection, the questionnaire and discussion guide, but they are not full yet. They are not fully developed yet. Well, once the client, agrees with the proposal and pays us, then we can go ahead to develop those questionnaires fully. Most research agencies don't just develop the question, the tools fully. Just give an outline now because it may happen that the client may not want to conduct the study at the end of the day. So all your effort will have been wasted. So what we normally do is do an outline of all the questions we are going to ask. The client will see what the areas we are going to ask questions. And then once the study is commissioned, you can go ahead and then do and then do do it do all the questionnaires. Develop the questionnaire full and discussion guide. And one thing is that once it's fully developed, we are going to share it with the client to agree on the content of these tools, so that we can be on the same page. We will see the client's approval of the tools before we deploy them for field work. Now, talking about ethical consideration, we want to ensure that our participants' rights are respected and protected. Respondents, we are going to seek respondents' consent before they participate in the study. They have the right to participate or not to participate, and they can also withdraw at any point in time. It is their right. So we want to enshrine that. We want to make sure that we put that in place in everything we're going to do, so that we get the best of our respondents. In fact, when some respondents find that you have put this measure in place, they'll be willing to participate. Also, we're going to ensure, and by doing that, also we're going to ensure that they want to have an unfettered flow of data collection, such that no inhibitions, no restrictions. And the way to do this for is for the interviewers to create good rapport with their respondent, because when they have good rapport with their respondent, then the best of the respondent can come out. Also, during the ID and FGD sessions, we are going to familiarize the respondent with the rules of the game. No right or wrong answers, no chorus answers. Raise your hand if you want to answer question, you want to ask question. You don't want a rowdy session. We want sanity during during the discussion. Although there may be situations during the FGD, there may be hot argument, but it happens. But the moderator with to a large a large extent we control it. Yes, we are human beings. Some things happen at times. You want to talk at the top of the word, you want to get angry, or you want to express your views frankly. It happens in focus group discussion, but we want to bring sanity into anything we are doing, so that we have a wonderful time with the respondent. The respondent will also be assured that all the data and information they provide are strictly for research purposes and will be treated as confidential. It will not go beyond, you know, uh, research purposes. Thank you very much for your for your attention, for listening to this presentation. I want to say thank you again for showing up. It's an honor for me to see you listen to this presentation. Thank you very much.